very few people know about my hustle. You know what I mean? It's not just music. It's gonna stay longer than anybody else that got it real quick because they fell off quick. Trust me. Make sure y'all tune in, keep tuning, and subscribe to this channel.
Hello everybody, welcome to the SabbyBG show, the #1 Indian show from outside of India. This is your host SabbyBG and you are watching the second episode of our special segment Pardesi Babu, a one-of-a-kind segment where we highlight a celebrity of Indian origin but from outside of India. Now in this episode, I'm so happy to welcome an amazing Indo-Canadian singer, composer and music producer from the 6, which means Toronto. This guy is a true hustler and a music powerhouse. He's worked with giants like Sunidhi Chauhan, Vishal Dadlani, Neha Kakkar, Sean Kingston, Cardinal Official, and Nargis Fakhri. Recently, he also collaborated with actress Sonakshi Sinha on the remake of the classical Bollywood song Tum Mile Dil Khile. This is none other than Parichay. Parichay, my man, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man.
Parichay, we're going through a weird world right now, man, especially for musicians, and it's hard to do shows, to perform. How are you keeping yourself busy and sane?
I want to start off by saying I feel sorry for every person that lost a family member. You know what I mean? Like, touch wood. That's number one. There's nothing more important than health. So, fortunately, I haven't been affected directly. So I feel grateful. But for those that have been affected, you can't even imagine the pain. You know what I mean? 1 second out of nowhere, you lose a family member to something you don't even know what it looks like or feels like. So that's sad. Having said that, it's the one thing about me, the way I've been brought up and the way I've always thought is there's always good, even in the bad. You know what I mean? So during these crazy times, I know it's lockdown and all these things, but I feel like the world needed to take a bit of a pause. We were just so crazy chasing our own tails and what do I do next and blah, blah, blah. So this gave me some time to stop, reflect, look at some of the things that I don't know, in terms of my craft. And I've learned so much in the past few months that it's incredible. Just jumping around, doing shows, not getting enough sleep, jet lagging, but you just, you want to do them and you don't want to let go of anything. Now it's like, yo, hold on, let me get in the studio. Let me learn a little bit more about my craft. Let me come up to date. Let me see what's out there. Let me make sure all my social media is up to date. Let me make sure all my content is presented in the best way possible. Okay, you know what I mean? Now, let me explore other opportunities. So there's so many different things I'm getting into right now, just trying to make the best of it. And we're doing digital shows, which sucks, to be honest with you, because it's like, I've done a few of them, and then you want, the best part about being on stage at a live show is you can get the crowd involved.
Yeah.
The interaction. But right now I'm sitting there going, put your hands up, you know what I mean? And you don't know if they're putting it, like, it's so weird. Or make some noise. You can't say any of those things. So it's a little different, but different not always necessarily bad. When YouTube first came, everybody thought, what the hell is this? We're still gonna stick to TV, and it took over. So now a lot of things are gonna change, man. There's positive in everything. So that's why I'm keeping busy, just learning.
Yeah, so tell me this, man. We all sort of I think in the last 3 months, all of our stories are sort of similar. We all sort of dived into learning maybe a new skill, maybe a new thing. I know you talked about figuring out what are the avenues, social media avenues, maybe you can sort of master, you can use. Anything outside of music that you also sort of dived into and just wanted to learn that you haven't done for years, months, that you were like, okay, this is the time, maybe I'll learn a bit or...
There's so many things that I want to learn, but unfortunately, because of the lockdown, you really can't do any of those things. True. You know what I mean? So I love adventure stuff, like jumping off a cliff obviously with like paragliding or something like that. And then I would love to fly a Cessna and learn how to do that, because I love flying in general, right? I love aircraft and stuff like that. But all of those things went out the window. So really, it's what can you do indoors? So it's just really brings it down to music, spending time with family, and just learning different things about the craft. And honestly, there's times when you get tired of something and then you look to do something else. But I haven't been tired. I've just been enjoying the journey, man. So, hey.
Yeah, no, I think it's when you're doing something that you enjoy, that's your passion, that's your calling. You figured what your calling is. I think you never call it work again.
And the true thing is, we work 300 hours a week to escape working 40. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So it's all good. I wish I could do some of the outdoor things, but that'll open up slowly.
No,
I need my music and my gym to stay sane. You know what I mean? Those are two things. If someone takes that away, I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Tell me this, from singing at weddings to working in the corporate 9 to 5 to now being a full-time musician, doing your own songs, man, what an inspiring story you have. And take us through your journey and where did this all start?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Actually, very few people know about my hustle. You know what I mean? It's not just music. Okay, so I'm gonna go back a little bit. I used to do $10 million in sales as a corporate sales guy. And I've worked for 3 of the top 50 Fortune 50 companies. You know what I mean? And by 10 million, I'm not saying I made 10 million. I used to sell $10 million worth of stuff. I was highly underpaid because I was the youngest guy on the floor. And I remember getting in the elevator, and the CEO of the company this happened twice. He automatically hit number 5 because on the 5th floor is where you had the consumer, the youngins, all the people my age just having a good time doing home sales. And I would always hit number 3 because that's where the corporate guys were, just like him. And he couldn't believe it. He's like, what's this young guy doing up there? But anyway, so I enjoy sales. That's been my thing, you know what I mean? And fortunately, a big aspect of that gets incorporated into the music business, because whether you like it or not, it's not just music. It's 40% music, 60% business.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. As much as we don't like that, that's how it is. So I started off doing sales for, like I said, big companies, and then music was always like something I took for granted. It was always a part-time thing, and I realized one thing: if you give something that you love part-time, you get back part-time. You know what I mean? So you can't be putting in 2 hours and expecting for that to then become your main gig, and then I'll quit my job. So it doesn't work like that. And I've said this to people on my team, I've said this to friends, I've said this to everybody. If you want music to be a full-time thing for you, you got to quit. You know what I mean? You got to see the ultimate lows in life. I can proudly say that I've seen lows I can't talk about. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no plan B.
There's no plan B, and that'll break you down. That'll make you think you're useless. It'll make you think, you'll go through times where you're sitting there going, how does this person have all this ish going? And I know if we get in the studio, I'm better, and that's from a competitive perspective, not from a hater or a negative perspective. But then you realize, it's just not time. Everybody has your time. Everybody has their own journey. And this is why I never compare myself to others. I stopped doing it a long time ago. I don't care about what someone else is doing, because I know my circumstance is different. My journey is different. My talents are different. My story is different. My vision, everything's different. If that person does everything like me, then I'm going to compare with them. So yeah, man, it's just been a crazy journey. I started doing the sales and got into music. So I gave it my full time and went to India, spent long years and years there, just grinding, hustling, because I wanted to break into Bollywood. I spent time in England. I'm from Canada. I lived there as well. Did everything, bro. Now it's funny we're doing this interview today, because it's the time that my journey is now breaking out into my next step, which is mainstream. So I'm doing a lot of mainstream production now, from hip hop, trap, pop, all that type of stuff, R&B. So I'm enjoying this, so I just needed, like I said, the Bollywood thing's great, but right now Bollywood's on hold. You know what I mean? Independent music is great, but the deals that labels in India are giving out are whack.
Right.
So from a financial perspective, from a commercial perspective, from just being happy perspective, right? I'm doing mainstream music because I already have friends that's been doing it, I remember having this chat with Boy Wonder, if you know who that is. He's multi-platinum producer for Drake, Eminem, Lil Wayne, Rihanna, everybody. I remember sitting with him right here in this room, you know what I mean? And I've had at least 3 people that have come here that have multiple Grammys in this exact same room. And they've always been friends of mine. So, I remember Wonder telling me, I'm working on this artist. He goes by the name Drake, bro. And I'm like, oh, for real? I go, who's that? He goes, he's Jimmy from Degrassi. Remember? Jimmy on the wheelchair in Degrassi, the show.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, for real? I know that dude. I go, way back. Yeah. And I go, you remember he had a song called Replacement Girl with Trey Songz?
Yeah.
Right? That was one of his first records. And I'm like,
he
goes, yes.
06, I don't know, maybe.
This meeting was in 07. I'm talking about, right? 07 and 08.
Okay.
And then he said, he has 1 million hits on MySpace. And I go, for real? Okay. But at that time, we was just youngins, you know, like just trying to do a thing. Toronto really wasn't doing nothing, to be very honest. It was just a lot
MySpace
of
was a
talking.
thing back then. Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
just talk. Cardi was the only guy who was doing anything at that point. So that's why I branched out to Bollywood. And they've been friends since. One of my boys is it co-produced "Moment for Life" for Nicki and DJ Khaled. He also co-produced "I'm on One" with Drake and Khaled and Wayne and all. So these are people that's always been friends to me. You know what I mean? And so it's just natural for me to now transition into this stage of my life.
Yeah. So with that, I want to dive a little bit more. Like, what is with everything being on hold? I know. I mean, we've sort of like just everything's delayed for 6 months, or it could be up to a year. Hopefully not, but everything is delayed. But still, what was some of the exciting stuff that you were working on? What are we expecting coming out of like sort of like your trunk in the next 6 to 12 months?
The one thing that I think musically as a producer, now I never wanted to be a producer. I just wanted to sing. But unfortunately, unfortunately, whatever. I'm saying fortunately, by the time it felt unfortunate. I used to play with a rock band, right? I was a lead singer and I used to play acoustic guitar. The band was called Zero Extreme. We didn't have much of a buzz or nothing. Just local events here and there, whatever. College stuff and girls used to love me. And it was one of those things, right? So I realized, my keyboard player, my guitar player, they're slackers, man. They're more worried about partying, and I'm just a music head. So they wouldn't show up to rehearsals and stuff like that. So I started playing the keys. Then I started playing guitars just to fill in, Then I said, I want to do independent music. Well, before that, I've done at least, I'd say, 200 to 300 Bollywood shows, singing covers all over Canada, the US, everywhere. Yeah. So this was just covers. This was part-time while I was working, just on the weekend, Then I said, you know what, I got to stop, because we started creating a fan base, believe it or not. It was uncles and auntie, and, they knew who we were and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, I got to start doing independent music because I got ideas. Now, at that point, you don't have producers. There was no composers, and, India was a far shot, so that's not going to work. I'm not going to take names because one of them guys actually passed away. I met him. He's a big composer. And he said to me, yeah, I'm going to charge you 30 lakhs to do a 5-song album. 30 lakhs is $60,000, for 5 songs. And I said, wow, that's a lot of money. That's like almost 10 grand a song.
Yeah.
So I walked away. So I started producing my own records. You know what I mean? Because I just don't want to wait for people. You were telling me how you set up, your YouTube and you do everything yourself. That's a hustle because you just don't want to wait for others because you don't get it done or it takes too long or it's not to par, blah, blah. So I started producing. And that's how I became a producer. And now I'm at a stage where I feel like my production game is at par with my singing game. It was always like this. I felt like I was a better singer than I was a producer. But now my production game is, if not above my singing game, to be honest. So what I'm now working on is I will continue putting out, love songs and desi raps, hip hop songs for my current fan base. But I'm also doing a lot of hip hop production, trap, mainstream stuff. So my thing now is focus on the production and bring that to India. Because India now, desi hip hop is growing big time. But I still feel from a production standpoint, I think I can bring something fresh to the game. I did that with Champion, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny that you bring this up because this was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is, would you not agree that, it's the Indian Canadian or the UK Asian singers, but we sort of like took the new age R&B, the hip hop to India, which is now part of the Bollywood. Like, I mean, decade ago, these guys didn't understand what we were talking about. And now it's sort of like the main, the in thing. What I wanted to know is, you've worked with so many Bollywood producers and artists now. How's the industry there different from the West? And do you think with the globalization, with the music now, the R&B and hip hop going there now, how is Bollywood evolving and sort of like, becoming one with how we make music in the West?
Great question, man. First of all, you're right. Everything started here. I'm going to take pride, and it's not about like blowing my own horn or anything, but I'm going to lay it out like I genuinely believe. When I put on my first album, No Boundaries, I had reggae on, I had hip hop on it, and shout out to everybody that's on the album, Roach Blitz, Joe Lewis, Monique, Tona.
Oh, that was an epic album, I remember.
You know what I mean? There's a lot, this is all Canadian talent.
Oh yeah.
Indians and black guys and black girls and everybody, you know what I'm saying? It's just a amalgamation of different genres. Right. So when I took that to India, I sat with the head of Sony Music, and she said to me, I love your music. Like, it's even the rap has melody, but she said hip hop is never going to be big in India because they got no street life. those are her words. We don't have a street life, and hip hop is not going to be big in India. This is the head of Sony Music India. I'm not going to take her name because I'm still cool with her. She's super nice. But that was
I'll Google her name.
You could, right? Anyway, she's no longer with Sony anyways. But so I said, no, hip hop is a movement you can't escape. I'm maybe ahead of my time, but there's going to be a time that it's going to come in. And I feel like I should have dropped No Boundaries now in
absolutely
11 years later. You know what I'm saying? It's still relevant. Like, it's crazy. The sound is still relevant. So, and I remember Ikka. Do you know who Ikka is?
Absolutely,
Ikka?
Man. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's from Honey's crew. And I remember he came to my crib in Bombay. We were in touch and blah, blah. He came to my crib and we sat, we got a good chat. And he said, Bhai, aapka gana Tum Habibi Jo Hai. That was out in 2012, right? He said, Bhai, main aur Golu, who's Lil Golu, who's a good friend of mine now. I think he's talented. Both these guys are very, very talented. Great writers, great rappers, good musicians. He said, Bhai, main Golu or someone else, I forgot the names. He goes, hum log club mein jaake aapka gana gaate the, Tum Habibi. He goes, I used to love that song, bro, blah, blah, blah. So the fact that, that means I didn't even know who Ikka was at the time. But I'm saying we were putting out music on the internet, and these cats in India was vibing to it. You know what I mean? So, and now everybody's on this urban movement, which is amazing. So I'm glad it evolved. It's a little behind us, but now because of the internet, not to answer the second part of your question, because of how Instagram and YouTube is instant, something that out here, it's out everywhere at the same time. So now they've caught on, and they're literally like the gap has really shortened. So now it's not there's not much of a gap. They're putting out great music from out there as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I should say you must take pride in what you guys have done, because see, I remember this was, I think, year 2005 or 6. I was still in India. I just finished my college and stuff, and I was very much influenced with what Rishi Rich and Jay Sean and Jaggi D, these guys were doing.
We all were.
Rest of my friends had no clue about these guys, but I was one of those 10 people that were influenced with that music, and I was like, I want to go out. I tried for UK, didn't work out. I'm like, where should I go? My Hua was in Canada. I'm like, let's go to Canada. So I came here. But when Bollywood started hearing what you guys are doing, or what Akon and these guys were doing, you guys were the natural fit who would bring in that kind of music. And you guys already also understand Bollywood. You guys were the natural sort of bridge between, bringing the Western music to Bollywood. And that's why they kind of like started leaning down towards you. And the fact is that your music is good. To be honest, it's better than just a typical Bollywood song. And that's why now you see more and more of what you guys do happening in Bollywood.
Yeah.
It's just that this whole transition took a decade, because nothing happens overnight. Now with internet, now with YouTube, it's happening even quicker. But you guys absolutely are the reason, because of what's happening in Bollywood today, the way you guys have shaped Bollywood into what it is today. And I think it's just much more cooler.
I appreciate that, man. First of all, big shout out to look, I was doing mainly Hindi music with all these urban genres, right? But then you had guys like Jazzy B, who and Sukhinder Shindan. These guys were doing Punjabi music with the mainstream vibe. Rishi was doing Punjabi with Jaggi and Jay Sean. So for us in Canada, right, the UK was a spot to go. It wasn't India at the time. It was the UK. So we all moved to the Roach and I lived together for months. You know what I mean? And we hustled in Manchester, close to this place called Moss Side, apparently, which was considered like the hood. You know what I mean? So we've done that hustle. And then unfortunately, the UK industry kind of fell through, and everybody moved to India.
Yeah. And
that's why Rishi's in India. He's one of my boys. I think he's immensely talented. He's great. He's had his legendary moments you got to give him shout outs for that. But what's happening in Bollywood? Look, you have to understand, Bollywood is not a clear cut field for talent. It's egos, it's relationships from years and generations. So what happens is, and trust me, I'm not talking from sitting outside. I'm in the mix. You know what I mean? I know I've worked with these people. And I know that when I first got there, people wanted my sound, but they wanted to push me down to a programmer, right? A programmer is somebody that produces the music, but doesn't compose the vocal melody. So you just get tagged a programmer and you'll never become a composer. You understand? Right. So I turned down, I don't even know, I don't want to take names, but people have called me and said, bro, the only person that can do this song is you. And I said, so what do you want me to do? Oh, I want you to program it or produce it. So now, this is recently, as well. So what I say is, I'll program and produce it if I'm singing it.
Yeah.
Fair enough, right? Otherwise, I'm not interested, bro. You're gonna pay me $2,000, bro. You know what? Find somebody else. Because what's happening is they want our sound, and they're exploiting people. So big shout out to everybody from North America, England, outside, everywhere. If you feel like your music is cutting edge, don't go and become a programmer.
Yeah.
Hold your guns down. And that's why when I did Love Shada, I was a composer for the film.
Yeah.
I produced it. I produced every piece of music that I put out. I didn't use somebody else, or on one song, Chikta Kokar, I co-produced with somebody because my studio was getting renovated at the time. But that's it. Everything else is produced. So in order for these composers to let go of their positions, it's going to be a long time. So, and that's what happens, a close-knit circle, you know what I'm saying? So that's why independent music is flourishing, because if people are producing, you get the credit in the West. You produce the record, you're not called a programmer, you're called a producer.
No, absolutely. And I should say you must take pride in what you guys have done, because see, I remember this was, I think, year 2005 or 6. I was still in India. I just finished my college and stuff, and I was very much influenced with what Rishi Rich and Jay Sean and Juggy D, these guys were doing. The rest of my friends had no clue about these guys, but I was one of those 10 people that were influenced with that music, and I was like, I want to go out. I tried for UK, it didn't work out. I'm like, where should I go? My bua was in Canada. I'm like, well, let's go to Canada. So I came here. But when Bollywood started hearing to what you guys are doing, or what Akon and these guys were doing, you guys were the natural fit who would bring in that kind of music, and you guys already also understand Bollywood, and you guys were the natural sort of bridge between, bringing the Western music to Bollywood. And that's why they kind of like started leaning down towards you. And the fact is that your music is good. To be honest, it's better than just a typical Bollywood song. And that's why now you see more and more of what you guys do happening in Bollywood. It's just that this whole transition took a decade, because nothing happens overnight. Now with internet, now with YouTube, it's happening even quicker. But you guys absolutely are the reason, because of what's happening in Bollywood today, like the way you guys have shaped Bollywood into what it is today. And I think it's just much more cooler.
I appreciate that, man. First of all, big shout out to look, I was doing mainly Hindi music with all these urban genres, right? But then you had guys like Jazzy B, who and Satinder Shindan. These guys were doing Punjabi music with the mainstream vibe. Rishi was doing Punjabi with Juggy and Jay Sean. So for us in Canada, right, the UK was a spot to go. It wasn't India at the time. It was the UK. So we all moved to the Roach and I lived together for months. You know what I mean? And we hustled in Manchester, close to this place called Moss Side, apparently, which was considered like the hood. You know what I mean? So we've done that hustle. And then unfortunately, the UK industry kind of fell through, and everybody moved to India. Yeah. And that's why Rishi's in India. He's one of my boys. I think he's immensely talented. He's great. He's had his legendary moments in you got to give him shout outs for that. But what's happening in Bollywood, look, you have to understand, Bollywood is not a clear cut field for talent. It's egos, it's relationships from years and generations. So what happens is, and trust me, I'm not talking from sitting outside. I'm in the mix. You know what I mean? I know I've worked with these people. And I know that when I first got there, people wanted my sound, but they wanted to push me down to a programmer, right? A programmer is somebody that produces the music, but doesn't compose the vocal melody. So you just get tagged a programmer and you'll never become a composer. You understand? Right. So I turned down, I don't even know, I don't want to take names, but people have called me and said, bro, the only person that can do this song is you. And I said, so what do you want me to do? Oh, I want you to program it or produce it. So now, this is recently as well. So what I say is, I'll program and produce it if I'm singing it. Yeah. Fair enough, right? Otherwise, I'm not interested, bro. You're going to pay me $2,000? Bro, you know what? Find somebody else. Because what's happening is, they want our sound, and they're exploiting people. So big shout out to everybody from North America, England, outside, everywhere. If you feel like your music is cutting edge, don't go and become a programmer. Yeah. Hold your guns down. And that's why when I did Love Shada, I was a composer for the film. Yeah. I produced it. I produced every piece of music that I put out. I didn't use somebody else, or on one song, Chikta Kokar, I co-produced with somebody because my studio was getting renovated at the time. But that's it. Everything else is produced. So in order for these composers to let go of their positions, it's going to be a long time. So and that's what happens, a close-knit circle, you know what I'm saying? So that's why independent music is flourishing, because if people are producing, you get the credit in the West. You produce the record, you're not called a programmer, you're called a producer.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's battles, bro, but you just got to fight your battles in the industry, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the free distribution, I mean, you know, through YouTube and all these different tools, it's obviously helping as well. But, you know, you talked about one thing, which is Bollywood. I mean, it's a lot of relationship game there as well, right? I mean, with what's happening now, I mean, you can see, I mean, with the media is all about Sushant Singh and what's going on and nepotism and all that stuff. Do you think that, and I think it's all this is happening for good, because you can see all the Bollywood actors that was heroes of everybody. Now they're like sort of in the background. They're not coming out. They're not talking. And you see the power of social media, where people have a voice, and it's just so clear that the voice of people is now higher, is on top of, you know, the voice of all those celebrities. Do you think that there'll be a ripple effect in music as well, where it's going to be easy for musicians like yourself? Not yourself. I mean, you're already successful there, but somebody who's 18 years old, somebody who's in Canada, also likes to do sort of like the urban R&B sort of stuff. Do you think it's going to be easier for them because you guys have sort of like given them a path, and also with what's going on now, Bollywood will be more open to people from outside?
Look, to be very honest with you, first of all, the one thing about the music game is there's no formulas, right? This is one industry where you've had people that's made it off of buying a beat off $40 off YouTube, you know what I mean? And getting a worldwide smash, or someone just going viral off of a cover, or I've seen all kinds of success stories, right? And then you have people that are next level talented that haven't blown yet, but they will have their moment. The key is you just cannot stop.
Yeah, true.
It's like a pipeline. Once you're in the pipeline and you're hustling, you just got to keep hustling. You never know when that pipe's going to end and, you know, the floodgates are going to open for you. You just got to keep going. Nobody knows. It's written in your destiny, or you make your own destiny, whatever your beliefs are. If you believe that you genuinely are talented and you can bring something fresh and different, and you are working on your craft and you're putting in the time and the grind and the hustle, you can't lose. It does not matter. Whether you go to India, you can go to India and still lose. You can be here and still win. So the key is just, honestly, man, the fact that there's no formula is crazy. The only thing I can't say is that works for me is keep working on your craft and keep putting out music, collaborate with people, meet people, let people criticize your music, take it in, make it better, grind and learn. YouTube is free education. Learn off these tutorials, grind, and just get better and better and better.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And the thing with Bollywood, I'll tell you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll tell you the trick about Bollywood. Let Bollywood come to you. You know what I'm saying? Let Bollywood come to you.
Just be that good. Absolutely.
Just be that good.
Yeah.
Now
I'll
give you one success story, right? I don't know this girl personally. Her name is Vidya Vox. She did covers on YouTube, and she brought like East and West together, and she did a great job. Her presentation was really good. She's from Cali, so obviously she's got access to like some of the best people in the industry and the game, and obviously not taking any credit from her. Big shout out to her, the way she's presented. And it was a timing of, you know, bringing a Desi song mixed to a Western song. She didn't own any of the rights. It was just a presentation of a mashup, which even I've done as well. And she blew up. You know what I'm saying? She had her moments. I'm not sure what she's putting out now. I haven't really paid attention. So she blew up, and I know how much money she was charging to perform at weddings. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to bait her out, but it's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not many Desi artists in the West that can charge that type of money for gigs. I know, because I've been in the game for a minute. So shout out to her. You see what I mean? She didn't have to go there and grind and do whatever. She sat here, she did something crazy, and it worked for her. So there's no formula. And I don't think she's been at it for years and years and years. It came fairly quickly. Again, not taking away any credit, but that's her story. Then there's people that have been around. I know a singer, okay? I'm not going to take his name. He has sang, I would think, at least 2,000 songs. Okay? But what happens with him is he sings a song, and I've put him on one of my songs, and I've left his voice on it and promoted his name and everything, just because he's a friend of mine and I feel for him and I think he's immensely talented. But it so happens that he sings a song and then somebody comes and redubs it and they copy his exact vibe, but they take him off the song. And he's been doing this for 12, 13, 15 years in Bombay. He's not even from Bombay. He's from a different part of India. So you look at someone like that, and he's going to have his moment. there's only so much the universe is going to put you through. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Ultimately.
absolutely. I agree, man. I agree.
So he'll have his moment, and it'll be very long. And this is what it is. The longer it takes you to get there, the longer you'll stay there. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for somebody who's hustling and you feel like you haven't gotten it. Just keep going, because when it comes, it's going to stay longer than anybody else that got it real quick, because they fell off quick. Trust me.
No, absolutely. From the sounds of it, it seems a lot like running a YouTube channel. It took me 100 videos to get Parichay on a video today. So it's like, if you enjoy doing what you're doing.
Forget about me, but you are right. 100 videos. And here's what it is. Okay, now I can't remember. I think it was Jay Sean. Yeah, I can't remember who I had this conversation with. I think it was Jay. This was in during the UK Asian Music Awards. My memory's a little weak, so I can't remember. I think it was Jay, some artist. And I was talking, I said, yo, the single for you blew, bro. So big up on that, right? You know what I mean? And he goes, yeah, dog. He goes, the best part is this single exploded, but now people have gone and bought and heard all my old stuff. So the stuff I've been putting up for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, now they're downloading those songs and vibing to those songs. And that's what it is. So now you're talking about a YouTube video. You get your one major YouTube video that blows. Now people go and watch all your old stuff.
Absolutely.
So content you put out, at that time, it must have been 500 views.
Agreed.
Now it's going to explode because you kept consistent. Look at Lily Singh. Look at all these success stories.
Yeah.
They didn't get the results right away. They kept hustling. Then they got that breakout, and same thing happened with me when I got Pine Ki Tamanna and Love Shuda. Unfortunately, the film didn't work. The soundtrack really is still making them a lot of money, but if the film had worked, it would have been a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? But then people went back, and I get messages saying, "Bhai, aapka Tu Hi Zindagi gaana bahut acha hai," because I had the content out.
True.
It's just that one. I'm just waiting for my second major hit, and they're gonna go back and say, "Holy cow, this guy has 70 songs."
Oh, absolutely. I mean, someone like me, no, but I mean, absolutely. When we talk about sort of like, you know, going mainstream and influencing a billion people, I mean, I absolutely understand, and that's why I think see, there's a lot of gold in what you just said, because it's about hustling, it's about just keep going at it, it's about not giving up. I think it all also comes from you enjoying what you do. Like once you figure out, I was in a corporate job till last year as well. I was working with IBM, sales director, all that kind of stuff, but you know, when I figured out, I'm like, I enjoy doing this, man. I love what I do, and that's it. There's some money coming in from making YouTube videos. I'm like, that's it. Why do I need to do a job? Because I can just do this even if nobody pays me, and you know, you just keep going on. But Parichay, tell me, a lot of people, younger boys, especially younger boys and girls who are starting out, they're good musicians. It doesn't matter whether they're in India or here, but any advice to them? Maybe you can talk about one thing if you can go back and do something different. What could that one thing be? Something that an 18-year-old can apply now.
I trusted people more than I should have in the music game. Again, I don't want to sound negative, because you learn, and again, in hindsight, 100 million things could be different. You know what I mean? But when it came to money, I never put any emphasis on it. I was always about the music. I was always about the vibe. I was always about loyalty, and
typical creator thing.
Yes, and in those situations, I felt like I could have made better deals.
Right.
I could have made better deals, because it's not about the money. But what happens is when you charge people, they respect that project more. You see what I mean? So yes, you got paid more, which is great, right? But when you charge people more, they respect that product more. They respect that service more. You understand? It's weird. If you got a pair of shoes for $5, you know what I mean? You'd wear that in the rain. You wear it in the you know what I'm saying, in the sand, and you wouldn't really give a shit.
Yeah, like a free webinar.
There you go. But if you paid $150 for those shoes, you're wiping them clean after every walk. You know what I mean? You're not wearing it in the rain.
True.
So that's what it was. I trusted people very easily. Now I'm really good with my deals. I negotiate a million times better, because look, man, as much as I don't want to say this, it's a music business, and ultimately you got to make a living off of it. And if you're getting exploited and someone else is making that much more money off what you did, then it's really stupid. You know, it's not their fault. They're just getting the best deal for them. So you got to make the best deal for you. And I love business as well. I'm an entrepreneur. So I feel like, hey, I'm working on my music craft. I also got to work on my business craft. It's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think that's really important. I mean, for somebody that's new, I mean, a new opportunity that comes up, you just want to grab it. And then sometimes later on you figure out that, hey, wait a second, this was, I got exploited because I didn't pay attention to this. And maybe that, maybe something.
Everybody does get exploited. Let's be
Absolutely.
honest. Everybody does get.
Absolutely. And that's how you learn, as you said. Yes.
I'm talking about exploited in terms of like a financial situation. Right? Everybody does, because you want that to build your resume and blah blah blah. But then there comes a time where you feel like you have a portfolio, you got a solid profile, and you don't need to go down that path. But I still have.
Absolutely.
You know, I'll give you an example. I used to do say I did a show. I would spend 80% of my show budget on my team, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And that was stupid of me. I love my team, and I'm sure they love me back, but I would stupidly spend money. You know what I'm saying?
Like, not good money managers. Yeah, me too.
Yes, there you go. Someone said, "What's the one thing you'd like to work on?" I would say budget management.
Yeah.
You know, budget management. So I would spend 80, 90. Sometimes I spend 100% of that budget just on making sure we put out the most craziest show with this and with that and blah 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 blah. And those are some of the things I should have had somebody that just watched the budgets. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real talk, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, and you know, that's true. That's just not with musicians. It's the same with, you know, people that are making YouTube videos or doing anything creative as well, because this is not a 9-to-5 job. Nobody's paying you $2,500 at the end of the 15th or the 1st. So you gotta be smart. A lot of times we get into the rut of, oh, we just love what we do. And sometimes we even feel that it's unethical for us to sort of like make money through that, or ask people for money, or charge people. And at the end of the day, it comes to a point where you see this in your bank. And what happens is, when you have no money in your bank, it doesn't help you be more creative, and then you're doing injustice to your audience, because you're not creating where you actually could, because you have no money to put into your craft. So you're right. You got to be just good money managers, and you got to figure out different ways to make money.
Everybody's situation is different. I completely understand. You're right. Like if you're making YouTube videos and you're spending more on the equipment rather than what you're monetizing, or what you could potentially make from it, then you got to relook that decision. In my case, I was making good money. Touch wood. Right. You know what I'm saying? But my thing was, because I was gigging like crazy. I've done I don't know how many thousands of shows, but the thing is, I would invest almost all of my income back into music.
True.
And a lot of the revenue I'd make from a gig would go right back into that gig. And I'm thinking I should have managed that better.
True.
You know, and spending 80%, 90% of your show budget on that show is stupid. It's foolish. It's okay to do it in the beginning when you're trying to build a show reel or something like that, but to consistently do that year after year, I would redo that. But hey, look, again, there's a lot of things we could change, but at that time that felt right, so I went with my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's just, my dad told me one thing: don't make the same mistake twice. So once you realize it's a mistake, I won't do it again. That's all. To give people, you know, and this is the crazy thing, you got to find the balance between doing something new and being too far ahead. When you do something that's too far ahead, it does not click. So you got to be in time and then bring something new, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I was doing something completely, because I wasn't watching what others are doing. I didn't know what was going on in the industry. So when I put out Deewana Tera and Custom Say and these type of songs, people are like, "Ye kya hai?"
What is it? Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and crazy thing is, I played Deewana Tera to this composer.
Yeah.
He's part of an A-list composer crew in India, in Bollywood. I've worked with him. He sang for me as well. He's a friend of mine as well. Although we don't agree with a few things in terms of like world issues. But anyway, that's besides the point. And when I played him the song, 10 seconds in, he was like, "Okay, play me something else, bro." It's like he didn't get it. And then I said, you know what, maybe this is too modern. So I went and I played a song called Kahe Barse, which I sang with Sonu Nigam's younger sister, Tisha, right? And that is like proper old school Bollywood. So I thought, okay, if this is too modern, I'll give him something like old school. And he goes, "Yo, this is way too old." I'm thinking, wow. So this is way too old, right?
This is too new.
And this is way too new.
Yeah.
And the same dude has now called me a little while ago saying, you're the only one that could produce this record and blah, 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 and we've worked together. So I'm saying it's all a circle. So at that time I got rejected, but don't take that to heart. It's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? It's just, like I said, coming back to the old point, you just got to keep hustling, because the same people that said that song was whack, when you bust, they're going to say, "Kya gana hai, bro?"
Agree, man.
To the same song. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Agree.
Yeah, agree. But I'll tell you, Parichay, I mean, from the very beginning of when you started singing, and I've been hearing you for a very long time. Not that we're old, but I mean, we're what, 21, 22 years only? But I remember, you know, when you came up with some of your first songs out there, and that again, you know, that the ones that became mainstream. I used to listen to that, and you probably had that core audience that really loved what you do, and they've been following you forever. And then obviously with, you know, and then you're looking at, okay, how do I get my sound to more audience? And you try Bollywood and you try different things. But I want to go back to, you know, back to your corporate job time. When you were working and you were doing $10 million in sales, at what point, and this is something important that a lot of people, when they need to make that pivot, they're scared. They're like, when do we leave our full-time job and make our part-time hobby our full-time gig? When did you know, figure out that, okay, this is what I want to do. Here's my full-time job. I quit it. I'm going to just do this. How did you make that pivot? And what advice would you give to people that are also sort of like, you know, stuck in that 9 to 5 or my hobby?
Man, first of all, that rut is it's like a drug, you know what I mean? Trying to get out of that, it's not easy. Obviously, everybody's circumstances are different, but the one thing I'll tell you, actually my mom and dad, they planted that root. When my mom first brought it up, I exploded. I'm like, what are you talking about? Go to India, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I can't go over there, start from scratch. I already got, you know, I'll just do everything part-time. I'm doing shows. I got money in the bank. Everything's great. I got a banging car. I got 27-inch chrome rims, and I'm not letting go of all this stuff. You know what I mean? That was the initial reaction. And then my pops brought it up in like a very subtle way. And he's like, what do you think? If you want to do this, you got to give it 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at that time, I always felt like in my friend circle, first of all, majority of my closest friends are not even Indian, right? They're black. So from a Bollywood perspective, we couldn't really have those chats. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, we were talking about other things. So when it came to this, I'm like, wow, go to India. I'm thinking, holy, I don't have a friend I can go with. So I'm going to be going like straight alone. I got some family there, which is cool. But anyway, so man, that leap was tough. And then I realized if you can't give music 100, music ain't giving you 100. There's people that give music 100, don't get back even 10 for a long time. You know, so if you're giving music 10, you're not getting nothing. So I just had to make the leap, man. It was tough, but now I can't go back to that scenario. I'm just working for myself. You know what I mean? It feels like I feel enlightened. I feel light. I feel like it's beautiful. I look forward to Monday mornings. I don't even know what day it is. It don't matter because it's 7-day work week.
Parichay, you work with so many artists, man. Tell me who's your favorite one that you'd love to work again with, and also somebody that you've not worked with that you really, really want to work with.
Oh man, I would love to work with Kanye. I think he's so eccentric in my opinion, you know what I mean? But I think that comes from an insanely creative mind. That's my belief. A lot of people will jump at it and be like, nah man, he does whatever your beliefs are, I don't care. For me, if I could get in the lab with Ye, that'd be dope, you know, with so many people, man, and with Drizzy. I feel like this guy is a damn genius. Holy.
Absolutely.
He's just had a run for so long, just number one, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Bieber, another super talented kid. I'm like, even like Ed Sheeran, you know what I mean? Then man, I could go on and on. Like I get so happy. Rihanna, I get so happy just
I love Rihanna.
Being in the lab with these artists. And I'm keep this recording because that's gonna happen very soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Any upcoming projects you have? Like, are you approaching people in the West as well? Any collaborations? Anything exciting that's coming up, man, that you'd like to maybe tell my audience?
So first of all, my new producer name is Parichay. Parichay. Yeah, it sounds like Parichay.
Like the
you know
name.
what I'm saying? Parichay, Parichay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's my new producer name. I got a new manager now, you know what I'm saying? So he's out there. He's already he's in the mix with a hell load of like big artists, and I'm reaching out. And good thing is, I hit up artists on IG, and they get back to me, and I send them beats, and they vibing. I've already got like a few tracks recorded. Just don't know when they're gonna drop, because in the West you have absolutely no control. You know what I'm saying? You have no idea. There's a million people involved in every project, and I'll just get the paperwork a week before, or a few days before, or maybe even like 8 months after. That's even happened. So so there's way too much happening right now, man.
Amazing, man.
When it drops, it's just gonna be like boom. You're gonna be like, yo, why did you tell me about that? And I'll be like, bro, there's so much in the pipeline that I don't know what's gonna happen when.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. We wish you all the best. When that happens, when you come up with a new single with Kanye West, people are gonna go back and check for, hey, Parichay interview, and hopefully this interview is gonna pop up, and I'll get 10 million views on this one. But again, man, thank you so much. Before we let you go, we need to ask you to sing a line or two for us. Any song of your choice, doesn't matter, but sing something for us, man.
Oh, cool. All right. What are you feeling like? You feel more urban or a little bit more desi?
It's always been urban for me, man, to be honest.
Okay, so I put out the song called Champion with Sony Music India in February, March of this year.
Yeah.
So big shout out to Pradhan. I think he's an incredibly talented artist.
Absolutely.
Very good friend of mine too, from India. Shout out to Raga, shout out to Haji. Again, great, super talented artists, both of them. And shout out to Ace as well. Ace is also on my song Party Started. But anyway, so I'll just do the hook from Champion, all right? रातों को जाग जाग के खुद ही को मार मार के आखिर तैयार कर लिया अपने अंदर साल साल से डिसिप्लिन डाल डाल के जीत का औजार बन लिया संभल अखाड़े में हर पल हमें है ये फिक्र हाँ क्या होगा दुश्मन का आसमां पे लिख दे नाम फना भी हो तो क्या जहां ये रखेगा याद पैदा हुए थे चैंपियन जिंदा है तो है चैंपियन हो मरेंगे तो भी चैंपियन हो लड़ेंगे तो भी चैंपियन पैदा हुए थे चैंपियन something like that.
Parichay, you're a true champion, man. I mean, true hustler, true champion, and most of all, a very, very talented and such a humble individual.
Thank you, brother.
Your man, thank you so much. Thank you for...
That was a great interview, and thank you for the questions. It's like you opened up, because, it's so standard. The question doesn't inspire you, but I'm glad we had a good chat.
Yeah, no, man, I could have kept going on and on. It's just that
real shit.
Thank you. I've seen you. I've known you. I've seen what you've been doing. I've been a sincere admirer of your music for such a long time. So I think it wasn't very difficult for me to sort of like tell you what I know about you already. So thank you, man. Before I let you go, Parichay, just to all my audience for the SabbyBG show, I want you to let them know where can they find you. I mean, you don't need any introduction, but where can they find more about your upcoming projects? Where can they connect with you on Instagram, whatever that may be? Where can people follow you?
First of all, big shout out to all the SabbyBG fans. You know what I mean? Big shout out to SabbyBG show. Make sure y'all tune in, keep tuning, and subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my channel. Hit me up on Parichay Online, on Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, Parichay Online, and on YouTube it's Parichay Music. On SoundCloud it's Parichay.
Thank you.
On .com it's parichay.buzz or parichay.online.com. It's everywhere. If you still can't find me, you gotta come out the cave, man. But check my music on Spotify. Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we're gonna make sure that you subscribe to the SabbyBG show as well. And I'd like you to tell people that are joining in for the first time that they must subscribe to the SabbyBG show because it's the best show in North America.
Yeah, and make sure you hit the bell icon, because if you don't hit that, you will never find out when it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Parichay. Thank you for your time. Thank you. It was blessed. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching more of the SabbyBG show by clicking on these videos right here. Before you leave, may I humbly request you to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss a single episode of India's #1 Vox Pop show from abroad, your favorite, the SabbyBG show. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, and remember, I love you.